As I'm sure most people probably heard, there is a whole kerfuffle starting with Iran right now between Israel and Iran, and people worry that the US is going to get pulled into it and it's just going to be really, really ugly. I'm here more to talk about how Trump nutcases are reacting to this conflict between Israel and Iran right now, because as I'm sure most people probably know, Trump theology is built on the idea that Israel is going to be destroyed and then Jesus will return. Or like there's going to be a war in the Middle East and Jesus will return in the middle of or before or after the war, basically. Whole bunch of Jews are going to die as part of this whole equation. So Trump theologists and a lot of evangelicals, Kenneth Copeland included, need there to be a war in the Middle East for Jesus to come back. And that has led to things like this.
What wonderful days these days are before the coming of the Lord. What wonderful days these days are before the coming of the Lord.
Dude is happy that there is a conflict starting between Iran and Israel. He's happy about this. Holy.
What wonderful days these days are before the coming of the Lord. Oh, the glory, oh, the glory before the coming of the Lord. Hallelujah.
Okay, Jesus Christ. That was too much. Yeah, by the way, if you don't know, this is Shane Vaughn. You may know him from this little ditty right here.
I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it.
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy. Anyway, he's a Trump theologist. He believes that Donald Trump is the Son of Man, effectively, the second coming of Jesus, but not in personality, but in role. Oh my God, dude. And it is all being exacerbated at the very least by this whole war in Iran. So let me just like read a little bit of this article, and then I want to watch another video on like what's happening with all of this. All right, check this out. Israel says attacks on Iran are nothing compared to what is coming. They launched this gigantic attack on Iran and killed like a bunch of their top military leaders, I believe, trying to cripple their command structure. To my understanding, it did not work though. Iran struck back. They launched missiles at Israel's top military generals, just like Israel launched at Iran in retaliation, but Israel intentionally put their military people in the middle of civilians downtown Tel Aviv so that if they were going to launch missiles at the military commanders, they would have that piece of propaganda. They killed civilians. And that is exactly what happened. They hit Tel Aviv because Israel put their commanders and everything. They centralized it all in the middle of civilians. What? You know what? I'm not here to talk about that. Let's just continue reading here. Jerusalem/Dubai, June 14th. Israel pounded Iran for a second day on Saturday, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said its campaign would intensify, while Tehran, which I think is the capital of Iran, called off nuclear talks that Washington had held out as the only way to halt the bombing. A day after Israel wiped out the top echelon of Iran's military command with a surprise attack on its old foe, it appeared to have hit Iran's oil and gas industry for the first time, with Iranian state media reporting a blaze at a gas field. Oh my God, dude. Why do people want to fight wars, honestly? Why are they fighting wars? Can't we just not be in wars? And oh my God, Reuters, please leave me alone with all these damn ads. Holy Christ on a cracker. Too many ads. I can't even see the bottom of the screen because the stupid ad is in the way. So this is the article on the original attack, like from, I think, June 13th, maybe. Iran once ridiculed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as the boy who cried wolf for his constant public warnings about Tehran's nuclear program and his repeated threats to shut it down one way or another. Do you know why Iran is upset with Israel right now? I mean, there's a whole history back there. There's a conflict at this immediate moment because of what Israel is doing to Gaza. Do you know why Osama bin Laden flew planes into the World Trade Centers? Because of what Israel was doing to Gaza. I read his entire letter to America on air a while back. You can find the video on this channel. And there's a lot more to it, of course. He complained about women being immodest and adult entertainment and music and alcohol and everything else. But the war, or more accurately, the genocide in Gaza was front and center in the complaints. So anyway, Iran has been funding groups in the region that have been opposed to Israel. They've been funding like rebel groups, the Houthis, I think, and Hezbollah maybe, and some others. Although I believe that Iran is Shia, and I believe Palestinians are Sunni, and they are kind of opposed to each other. I don't really fully understand the dynamic. But anyway, their support for certain things is limited, but they've always kind of been hostile toward Israel because of what they're doing in the region. Since Israel has been there, the country has been really violent and caused disruptions like all over the place. Anyway, Iran is not a nuclear power at this immediate moment, as far as we know. Israel, on the other hand, is a nuclear power. They have nukes, as far as we understand it, which is one of the most disturbing things ever, right? Iran was working toward uranium enrichment and producing nuclear weapons. They were working toward that. And Obama got John Kerry to go over there and make a historic deal with Iran that they would not enrich uranium beyond a certain level. And if they agreed to that, if they agreed to regular inspections from the UN, if they agreed to like all the other stuff, then they would unfreeze their sanctioned money. Billions of dollars held overseas. And sure enough, Iran complied. They never failed a single inspection. They were absolutely following the deal. When Donald Trump came in and destroyed that deal, it made war inevitable. There were two ways of getting around the Iran problem, through diplomacy or war, boots on the ground. We succeeded with diplomacy, and then Donald Trump came in and destroyed it. There is now one option. I knew that this was coming. I knew that people were going to be doing this, and this was rattling around in their heads. I just didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. Well, here we are. You can only fool some of the people so many times, Iran's then Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said in 2018 after Netanyahu had once again accused Iran of planning to build nuclear weapons. Again, they were not building nuclear weapons. They had submitted to inspections. I mean, nuclear weapons are impossible to hide if you are allowing inspectors in. You cannot hide that. It's a big operation. They were not nuking people, or they were not building nukes. Can't say the same now, since Trump destroyed the deal. On Friday, after 2 decades of continually raising the alarm and urging other world leaders to act, Netanyahu finally decided to go it alone, authorizing an Israeli air assault aimed, Israel says, at preventing Iran from obtaining weapons of mass destruction. Wow. This is surprisingly biased from this Reuters article. I did not expect that. Like, Iran is a terrible government. They're awful. It's a dictatorship for all intents and purposes, and it's a theocracy. It's like a Muslim nationalist state, a far-right regime. But I'm having trouble, like, blaming them for being attacked by Israel right now, honestly. You know, I didn't really think about this at the time because when the Iran nuclear deal was being negotiated, I wasn't really involved in politics. It was like long before my time. But in retrospect, I think that the Iran deal was probably killed because there was so much pushback from Israel, right? Like, AIPAC is very integrated into our political system here, like the Israel lobby group, and they fund politicians who are willing to do whatever it is that Israel wants them to do. So naturally, they're going to fund politicians who want to destroy the Iran deal because Israel wants to destroy Iran. They don't want peace with Iran. They want to destroy it. I mean, that's just my suspicion. I don't know that for sure. Israel has very clearly been oppositional to the Iran deal for a long time, though. Israel, Iran attack, AP News. Yeah, I can't believe that Reuters is so biased in that. I did not expect to see such a biased report. Israel and Iran traded more missile attacks Sunday despite calls for a halt to the fighting, with neither country backing down as their conflict raged for a third day. Do you know that Iran is like 90 million people? It's gigantic. It's a third the size of the United States. And it has like an incredible like reserve of fuel. They export oil. China gets a lot of the fuel that they use to power their factories that manufacture our goods. They get a lot of it from Iran. So this, Israel hitting Iran's oil fields is going to make the impending recession even worse. Iran said Israel struck its oil refineries, killed the intelligence chief of its paramilitary Revolutionary Guard and 2 other generals, and hit population centers in intensive aerial attacks that raised the death toll in the country since Israel launched its major campaign Friday to 224 people. Health authorities also report that 1,277 were wounded without distinguishing between military officials and civilians. Israel, which has aimed its missiles at Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear program and military leadership, said Iran has fired over 270 missiles since Friday, 22 of which slipped through the country's sophisticated multi-tiered air defenses and caused havoc in residential suburbs, killing 14 people and wounding 390 others. Jesus Christ, dude. Again, like all of this is an indication that Jesus is on his way to people like Shane Vaughn.
And I'll tell everybody, and I'll say it everywhere I go, the most, what's the word I'm looking for? The most, not racist, but marginalized people in America is white men. That's a fact, brother. We are the new minority, if you will, because...
Dude, I love that he categorized himself as white when he's very clearly not... He clearly would not meet the definition of Aryan as defined by, like, the Nazis. Like, you think they're not coming for you, don't you?
Because we literally, and I don't mean that as a racist statement, but if you're a white man, you get no rights, no privileges.
What?
No consideration in this nation.
As a white man, you get no rights, no privileges, and no consideration. What? Isn't he Hispanic? Yeah, I believe he's Hispanic. I think so.
Anymore. It's been taken over by DEI. Yes, it's the truth, whether you want to hear it or not.
It is insane, dude. It is insane. These people are unglued from reality. And again, Trump theologists, these people believe Jesus is on his way back, and the indication of that is that Israel attacked Iran unprovoked. Anyway, we've got this guy here to give us a little bit of a rundown on the situation. So I want to listen to what he had to say.
Then you're going to lose your country. Then what's going to happen is that all the people in Iran are going to suffer. You cannot be defiant over this and say, I am going to continue enriching uranium, because they're not going to let you. So not only are you going to lose, but the people of Iran have to suffer because of you.
Again, I don't know what they're doing now, but they were following the deal. They were following this for years until Donald Trump comes in and decides, I'm going to torch this deal. This war that's happening was avoidable. It is a direct result, a consequence, 1-to-1, of Donald Trump killing the Iran deal.
Because of your poor leadership. Israel and America has given you the opportunity to cut the bullshit out and your country will prosper. But they are not going to let you in your parliament and all the people screaming, down with Israel, death to America, and continue to let you enrich uranium.
Again, they didn't. We were working with them. And also, as I said, Iran is a bad government. It's a right-wing extremist government who I don't trust with nuclear weapons. I don't trust with any weapons, honestly. They're nuts. They're like North Korea almost in a lot of ways. But literally every part of this is Trump's fault and Netanyahu's.
So forget about what you have to say. Think of the mommies and the daddies and the children and the women and the people, the citizens of Iran.
Why are you making me punch you in the face?
You're gonna let them become Palestine? You're gonna let them become Gaza? Everybody's gonna suffer because you say so, Ayatollah? This is disgusting. This is an atrocity. The only reason why Israel is in there because you couldn't keep your mouth shut because your egos are running wild and you think you are something which you are not.
My God, dude. Why is this guy yelling, by the way? Why is he so angry? Calm down there, guy. No reason to be angry. We can just talk like adults. Why is his face so red on top of that? And where is his neck here? Where is his neck? He has no neck. Or no chin, I suppose. It's just head, shoulders. And his eyes, dude. Wow, those eyes. This is entirely Trump's fault.
You are something which you are not. Even the United States of America would have a problem because Israel's Air Force, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines are a force to be reckoned with.
Don't make the mistake of underestimating Iran. They have a population of 92 million people. That's 1/3 of the United States. And they can probably draft enough of a military to match the United States military in force. They will not match the U.S. military in technology, in training, in battlefield experience. They wouldn't match the U.S. at all. But and the U.S. would absolutely win. Beyond question. They would win. But how much of a mess would they make on the way? A lot. They'd make a big mess. You do not want war with Iran. Nobody should want war with Iran. I would venture as far as to say just about anything is worth avoiding war with Iran because of how many human lives, or if you don't even care about human lives, how many American lives would be lost? A lot. Too many. Just about anything would be worth it to avoid a war like this. And we didn't even have to give up just about anything. We didn't even have to give anything up. We had to just unsanction their money and a couple of other little things, little agreements that we agreed to as long as they were willing to stop enriching uranium. They were following the deal. Every one of the human lives that are lost in this upcoming next 12 months are a direct result of Donald Trump's doing. Those lives are on his hands.
Force to be reckoned with. And if you think that you can hang with the forces of Israel, you are about to around and find out.
I'm getting wrestler vibes from this guy, right? I feel like this is a rich joke area, but I just like throw some jokes at me about this in the comments and I'll scroll through them when this releases. Share, stitch, duet, comment, like, pray. Oh, is there a pray button? Anyway, yeah. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Absolutely wild. I'm just horrified by the idea that this is turning into what it's pretty clearly turning into. Hope for the best. And praying to prevent this situation isn't going to solve the problem. A nuclear deal would have solved the problem. Working behind the scenes to form out some kind of diplomatic solution would solve the problem. But the United States doesn't want that, I guess. Tell me your thoughts.